Hi, I'm Brian Warhol.
And I'm Shelley Malarkey. Please meet our amazing sidekick, Zizi.
Hello, folks.
Welcome to this episode of Garage. You know, I think we got to start out talking about what's going on in the world today.
It's crazy. It's a crazy world.
Today is Saturday, March 14th.
Yep.
We're filming. Yesterday, the governor and the president both announced state of the emergency. We're hearing these phrases that we've never heard before, like social distancing,
Yep.
community mitigation.
Yep.
I think we should take some time and talk about the effect that that's having on the car hobby.
It's having a tremendous impact
big,
right away.
big.
Right when things are starting to kick off and starting to go crazy, we just put on the brakes.
Exactly. I mean, not only is it the NCAA canceling March
Yep.
Madness,
Yep.
Baseball,
Yep.
hockey, the NBA suspending their seasons, the Minnesota State basketball tournaments. I mean, everything coming to a halt.
Gator Nationals, they just
Yeah.
canceled Gator Nationals,
And-
or at least they're not, no public.
And no, they
Yeah.
did cancel it. NHRA's
Completely.
canceled their
Yep.
drag races. NASCAR.
NASCAR.
No live races for NASCAR. At first they talked about that they were going to have the races without the fans.
Right.
And now they've decided no races at all.
Yep.
Monster Jam has canceled the next 2 months worth of events nationwide.
Concerts.
Concerts. Yep, even locally, Crow and Gypsy. Jim, Crow and Gypsy were supposed to be at the Medina next week. They've canceled.
Yep, that's a blow to the local music scene because those are two icons.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, and it's just
absolutely.
in the car shows. I spent the morning, about a half hour this morning, talking to Luke Merrill.
Oh, that poor
from
guy.
Tin Man 2 Customs, who's on tour. He was doing a 6 or 7 week tour with his car called Tin Mama, hitting a bunch of car shows. He told me that this morning that yesterday the cars were all set up at Cleveland. I think it's called Cleveland Autorama, and the
Okay.
cars were all set up. And before the show opened, they came in and said, "Sorry, no show."
Wow.
So they packed up all their cars. Everybody, I mean, they take hours to set their displays up.
Yes, absolutely.
And
I
they-
hear people were set up in a basketball stadium and they're all ready and waiting for the game, and they called it, sent them all
Yeah,
home.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Just
It's-
The ISCA car show in Idaho, same
Right.
thing. They closed that one down before, it's all set up. They closed it down before the doors opened. Daytona Bike Week down in Florida has been canceled.
We heard Duluth is canceled.
Yep, here
now.
locally, we've
Yep.
got Motorhead Madness in Duluth has been canceled for next week. The
Yep.
week after that, it's the Toppers Car Show in Fargo.
That's
been
right.
canceled.
That's right.
The flat track motorcycle races at the State Fair Coliseum have been canceled. The Donnie Smith Bike Show has been canceled.
Oh,
These
I
were
hadn't heard
these
that
were all events that we were going to talk about as upcoming events in our show this week, and now they've all been canceled. At this point, the GSTA Rod and Custom Spectacular is still on.
It's 3 weeks out.
3 weeks out, so we're going to wait and see what happens on that. But I know that they're meeting and talking about things. And
Yep, and they're keeping in close contact with the CDC, checking everybody's guidelines, because they want to keep their spectators and everybody safe.
Oh, definitely,
You know,
definitely.
it would be heartbreaking for one person to get it, because then it spreads like wildfire.
And then it came out that they caught it at the GSTA show. So
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know. Even the Twin Cities Auto Show. This was
Yes.
their last weekend.
Right.
And yesterday, in the middle of the day, they canceled the auto show. the
Yeah,
Twin
there
Cities
went
Auto
my
Show.
plans for the weekend. I was going shopping.
I was going to go down there today. They were having an event called Cars and Caffeine
Yep,
to
that
kick
was
off
my
the
morning stop.
So we were supposed to go down there this morning at 9:30, meet with your car club friends, have a cup of coffee, and then they were going to sneak us in the back door so we could bypass the lines to get into the auto show early today. All fell apart.
What a fun idea that is, though.
It was. and
Yeah,
think
I
it-
was looking
think it-
forward to that.
I do think it was going to be popular. So,
It's a new world.
yeah, that's for sure. What do you have to say about it, ZZ?
I think it's just sad, but we got to err on the side of caution on this. We want to protect all the people that build the cars, own the cars, and come and see the cars, because without them, you can't raise an idiot without a village. So we got to raise these idiots.
That's right. Well, speaking of the Twin Cities Auto Show, tell us about the sneak peek that you did there.
All right. Well, yeah, let's move on to something that's
Yeah.
fun now. We're done talking about the gloom and doom, so let's have some fun now. Well, last week,
Yep.
Paulie and I got get into the car show before it opened. We got media passes. We went down there Friday night.
Okay.
They're still setting cars up. They're still vacuuming the carpet. They're still polishing the cars. They're still doing final lineups. In fact, I think it was in the Acura display. They were still pulling up sections of carpet and relaying it down because it had bubbles in it and they wanted it to be perfectly
Perfect.
flat.
Yes.
There was probably, I bet you there were no more than 35 or 40 people walking around there. So we had free reign.
Nice.
So we started at one end of the auditorium and we went down to the other, covering cars as we went along.
Yep.
One of the things that I got a kick out of is that the car prices range in price from like $14,000 for Mitsubishi up to over $350,000 for an Aston Martin. We'd stop and look at these cars and Polly go, geez, that's a nice car. Look at that car for $19,000. And I'd have to say, Polly, that's where it starts. Read this one. As shown, $35,000. And we go
That's
to
a
another
lot of upgrades.
and we go to another one. Well, we looked at the new Corvette, and he goes, hey, that's not a bad car for $60,000. Now, look, this one's $97,000.
That's right.
So I had to keep reining them in that the cars are more expensive than you think.
Yeah, absolutely. They start, but then you want air conditioning and tool wipers, and
That's-
boy, that price goes
Well,
up.
you want tires. I mean, their price goes up. So,
That's
yeah.
right.
But it was fun.
Oh.
I mean, there was a lot of neat stuff there. One of the things that we're seeing is that the crossovers. I mean, passenger cars are kind of going by the wayside.
Yeah.
It's trucks, SUVs, and crossover vehicles.
Yep.
And they're basically what a crossover is if you don't know, a crossover is kind of like a small SUV.
Right, right.
It's higher. It's more like a mini SUV is what a crossover is. Chevrolet, 2 cars, Camaro and Corvette. Ford's just going to have Mustangs. They're going to call all their cars Mustangs. So they have that new Mustang Mach-E there, which is the electric 4-door Mustang.
Electric 4-door Mustang.
Not really a Mustang, but that's what they're calling it.
Interesting.
Ford also had the GT500 on display, which is
nice.
Ford's most powerful car that they've ever built, over 700 horsepower.
Wow, right off the factory showroom floor.
Yep. And one of the ones
nuts.
that I was also impressed with was Dodge has a Hellcat Charger Daytona. It's the 50th anniversary of the Daytona Chargers coming out. A 4-door family car with 717 horsepower.
Uh-oh, Dad got
So-
a little nuts going to the grocery store.
I mean, even pickup trucks. Nissan had a pickup truck there. Just their mid-size, I think it's called a Frontier, 310 horsepower. So the horsepower on these cars is crazy.
Wow.
Lots of stuff to do. They had the Jeep.
The Jeep. Expedition,
The
yep.
Jeep track, Camp Jeep. And then this year they also added the Ram track. So they were taking the 4x4 Ram trucks and doing the same thing with those.
Nice. So if
just-
you got handed a set of keys, what would you want to drive out of there and take home? You could take anything home.
I really like Lexus is coming out this year with a new convertible. It's their first convertible in I don't know how many years, 20, 25 years, something like that. I really like that Lexus convertible, so I probably would take that out of there.
I was kind of interested. I had a friend, Brian, talking about the new navigations and the parking assists in the Fords, and I was kind of anxious to see that and see what it looked like.
Ford has
and
that thing called 360, and
That's what he was talking
yeah,
about.
I mean there was really no salesman there.
Right.
That Friday night when we were there, it was just we had free reign.
Free reign.
Although we did hear from one of the Chevy salesmen, we were looking at the Corvette. There's 14 colors on the Corvette to choose from,
Okay.
and typically in the past they've only had like 8 or 9.
Okay.
So the one that they had on display was the brightest yellow I've ever seen, and under those lights, it had kind of a greenish tint to it. It reminded me of those vests that the highway department wears. It was so bright.
When the headlights hit it, it glows.
Yeah, it was bright. You know, we've got a little video, so I think we should take it sometime now and look at the video that we shot down at the Twin Cities Auto Show. Hi, Speedy coming to you from the Twin Cities Auto Show. I got Paulie here with me today.
That's right.
And we're going to start our 1-hour tour of the Twin Cities Auto Show with our sneak peek. We're going to start here showing you the Buick Encore. You know, when I got here today, what I had learned is that 80% of all new car sales in the state of Minnesota are, or new vehicle sales are pickup trucks, SUVs, and crossovers.
Now this is the one I want, all right? So the cool thing about this is that we're at the Twin Cities Auto Show, and we got a good friend of ours who's going to tell us a little bit about it.
Hi, how are you? I'm Zachary. I'm a product specialist with Lexus. And that's right, this is the latest hot item for Lexus that's coming out this summer as a 2021 model. So it is an early release, very anticipated. We haven't had a convertible in quite some time. So
This is a 2020 Lotus Evora GT.
Yeah, baby, that's us. Is that not us, man? It's like so cool.
The 2020 C8 Corvette. This is that mid-engine, the new mid-engine Corvette. So the front is storage, the back is storage. The engine is right behind the seats.
Wow. All right.
2.3 liter high performance. This Mustang, the color is magnetic metallic.
Get into another room here that is stacked, literally stacked with some really nice, nice looking cars
This
and
is all
trucks.
stuff from outside.
So, as we wind down our broadcast today, we'd like to well, perhaps see you during the week here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm going to come down again sometime during the week. So.
See ya.
We'll see you later. You know, spring is quickly approaching, and with that comes car show and car cruising season.
Car cruise season.
So if you're looking for a car, collector car, to go to car shows or cruise with this season,
Yep.
stop by Route 65 Sales up in Ham Lake. We stopped by and visited there and had a little visit. Let's take a look at their showroom. And the other neat thing about that at Route 65 is that that's
Yep.
going to be the site on May 16th of the 8th Annual Spring Dust Off Car Show.
Okay. Tell us about that, Brian.
Well, we've got 10 trophies, best bike, it's car, bike,
Okay,
and
yep.
or car, truck, and bike show. 10 trophies, plus the best bike trophy, door prizes,
Door prizes.
food on site by Route 65 Pub and Grub, which everybody loves. I mean, I've heard people come to that car show just
for the
just for
burgers.
the food from
Yep.
Route 65 Pub and Grub. And then we're also going to have the Parlor ice cream truck.
Oh,
On site.
there you go.
So that's coming up May 16th from 10 to 2 at Route 65 Classics and Sales in Ham Lake.
Yep, I think people will be ready to get out and enjoy some free sunshine at that point.
Let's hope that they allow us to have outdoor events by
no
then.
kidding. Hopefully by May we'll be out of the muddy
Gosh,
waters.
I hope so.
Yep.
Now let's take a look at a video that Paulie took. He stopped by one of our sponsors, John Jackson at Jackson Vintage Auto Services. So let's take a tour of his shop.
Hi, I'm John Jackson with Jackson Vintage Service. Today we're going to go over a 1776 brand new build-up for one of the customers. We're going to go over some of the basic components, some of the steps that I'm taking, and some of the considerations that I'm taking when building this engine for the customer. Currently, as you can see, I have a engine here. It's split in half. Nice thing about the VW engine is that I can go ahead and open it right up. It helps me clean debris and check tolerances a lot easier than it is maybe on a small block or a big block where you got to take it, have it baked, have it soaked and dipped. Currently I have my crankshaft in place here. I'm just checking tolerances, make sure all my bearing gaps are clear and tight. I'm checking, make sure my camshaft is going to sit properly, and I'm also checking studs. I'm checking oil galleys and everything just to make sure and double tap that I'm good to go before I put this thing together. The customer also went with a set of MPGT2 cylinder heads. These cylinder heads allow for more airflow, more performance, and also better cooling in the long run. As these engines are air cooled, the better the air can move over these engines, the more efficiently we can remove heat, and the more efficiently they're going to run. Currently I'm just soaking my lifters and my push rods, kind of a standard practice. Clean them 2 or 3 times, make sure any type of machining debris is out of there, any cast material, anything that could harm the engine, get into the oiling system and destroy the engine is out. I've got my MP connecting rods here. I've pressed in my new bushings for my wrist pins. I've also already balanced them. I've checked all my hardware, make sure there's no burrs, anything that could prevent me from getting a proper torque on there. This is just the other half of my case currently. I just have it up here out of the way until I'm ready to go ahead and reassemble. The remaining parts here are actually just what's left. I lay everything out, make sure I have everything. It also allows me to double check to make sure I have it all, especially when you get a lot of shipments in, things can get a little bound up. So I lay everything out, make sure it's ready to go. Once it's ready to go in, I clean everything 2-3 times, double check everything. I mic everything to make sure it's all within tolerance, so that when this engine finally goes onto the engine stand for its break-in period for 20 hours, I know it's going to run efficiently and effectively like it was supposed to. If you guys need any type of work done, whether it's a brand new engine buildup, anything from brakes, chassis, electrical, bodywork, maybe glass, please feel free to give me a call at 315-730-1439, or you can contact me at jacksonvintageservices@gmail.com.
Folks, on this episode of Car Char, we're going to Osseo to visit Dick's Bar and see what they've got on tap for us today.
What is minimum? Yeah, I don't know. Perfect taste for radio.
Well, what are you going to have for lunch today, ZZ?
Oh, this one went for 25.
Well, you know, when you come to Dick's and Osseo, you have to get the Little Billy.
Well, that's true. That's a perfect size burger for lunch. It's got 2 different kinds of cheeses on it. It's got bacon, lettuce, tomato, pickles, and onions.
But you're going to top it off with tots on the side, not fries.
That's true. The tots are really good on the side. Plus, you're going to start out with some popcorn today.
Nah, I'm going to leave room for tots.
I'm going to have popcorn and beer today for lunch. Just was looking at the sheet here that they have that explains what these different beers are, what an IPA is, what a pale ale is, what a wheat ale, a stout, so you can learn the different types of beers that are out there. And these are 2 new ones here. Blue Moon has a coffee beer, and then I've been seeing all these commercials for the St. Archer Gold. I'm going to try that today. I'm going to have a liquid lunch today.
There goes our image.
You know, I thought we'd try something different this episode. Rather than trying food at these from these restaurants, we're going to try and have a liquid lunch.
Thank you, Dick's Bar.
So what this is a couple of new beers that they are promoting up there. I think that this one, this Blue Moon iced coffee, they even have on tap. I was expecting that one to be dark when it mentioned coffee, so I don't know what to expect here.
Yep. St. Archard Gold, 95 calories. Let's give this one a try.
You can definitely taste there's coffee in this. It's not bad. Here, you try that one.
Self-distancing?
Drink off of that end. So,
I definitely like this one better. What do you think?
yeah, I think for a light, that's
pretty good for a light
that's
beer.
a really nice light beer.
Good. Well, thanks, Dick's Bar in Osseo.
That's right, exactly. Stop by and try your Blue Moon Iced Coffee Blonde or St. Archer's Gold.
Absolutely. I think we can take a couple minutes now and talk about some of the events we just had recently. One of those being the Car Show Flyer Exchange.
Yes, we talked about that at the last episode, that there was that organization, Minnesota Car Club Association,
Yep.
that did not have their annual event this year where car clubs got together to
Yep.
share event flyers. So we put one together very quickly at Teresa's Mexican Restaurant in Maple Grove, and I think we had like 57 people
Yes.
show up with their car show flyers.
We had big double tables filled
Yeah.
with car show flyers.
So that was
it was a lot of fun.
That was a fun event. Now, again, we'll see how many of those happen. But
Yeah. Hopefully by the summer and outdoors.
oh, exactly.
My fingers are
exactly.
crossed. That's all we can do.
GSTA Swap Meet.
Tell us about GSTA Swap Meet. What a fun event that was.
That was fun. That took place on Sunday, February 9th up at the Anoka Armory. As usual, well, I guess anytime GSTA puts their name on something, we had snow. We ended
had
up having
snow.
about 6 inches of snow that morning, but everybody turned out. The vendors
Yes.
were there. We had 2 that didn't show up. One of them was from Lakeville and one was from Winona, so I understand
Oh,
why
absolutely.
they didn't show up. But
It was much worse down south.
man, the people that came, I think they had a good time.
Yeah.
A lot of people were selling parts. I couldn't believe how many people were walking out of that building carrying manifolds and carburetors.
There was a
so-
run on carburetors.
So there was I think it was a good event, and I
Yeah.
know that they're looking at doing it again next January or February.
Oh, perfect.
So we'll look at that.
It's just a good way to break up the winter, get people out.
Exactly, and that's, I mean, and there was so much of that. In fact, I think Bob was saying that you couldn't even, there was a group of people when you walked in the front door, you almost had to say, excuse me, because they were just standing there and congregated and were visiting because they hadn't seen each other all winter.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. And then let's wrap up with Car Wars 3, Jim. Why don't you fill us in on Car Wars 3 that just took place a couple weeks ago?
Well, we were at TGIF Fridays out by the old Radisson South off the 77th and Highway 100 out in Bloomington, and we had a turnout, was it about 25 cars, Brian?
I think it was 22.
And it was quite the turnout. A lot of people came to listen, a lot of good stories, just like Car Wars 2. And in fact, one gentleman brought his car there that day to show people that he's not afraid to drive it. But we had excellent cars again, but we got a reigning king right now, folks, so get your photos and cars ready. We've had a guy that's won the first 2 first places for photography. I can talk. And
I wonder-
Richard Novak is kind of proud of that, winning the 2 awards.
Take that beer away from him.
Liquid lunch.
Right. Yeah, the winners were, in 3rd place was Ron Rydell with his 1956 Ford pickup.
Oh, that's a nice pickup.
I have a 1956 Ford F-100. I put this picture up because part of the story. When I got the truck, this was 6 months after I bought the truck and I was moving it from Kentucky to Pennsylvania, a personal move. When I bought the truck, it was only the cab, front end, the box, fenders, and senior mode here. But that's all it was. Running board. You got it, thank you. So,
2nd place was Don Sorensen with his 1932 Ford.
With flames. I built it myself in my garage at home, which the only thing I didn't do, I had somebody paint it twice, and I built the engine, had somebody go through the rear end. Otherwise, has every nut and bolt on it I put together. It's a Downs fiberglass body, so all the purists stand up and read. It's a lot stronger than the steel body. I tested my opening the door at 70 miles an hour. They don't come off and they still close, so. Where'd that one come from? Nice girl. That's my, actually that's the daughter of my kid's school teacher when they went to school. It's Emmanuel Pedio. That's taken out of Greg's garage. I know somebody here, Larry, will mention it. He'll notice and remember where it is. So he's down here usually every year I am. I don't know what other pictures you have of it. They sent in 3. Any questions on the car at all? Small block Chevy 700, air conditioning, no power steering. It's my gym membership that's trying to drive it. So, Ron Doral. And after the door flew open, it had to be repainted. So, as long as it was in there and they had to clear coat the whole sides, we put flames under it. So, worked out good.
But only flames on one side?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's my granddaughter Millie's favorite car. So she was pretty happy to see that he was one of the winners. And first place was Al Lindgren's 1941 Willys.
Over the years, Al owned many Willys coupes, including an all-stock 34 and 41. But he wanted to build a gasser, as perfect an example as possible. For starters, this car wears a stock Willys color called Bedford Gray, which a lot of his friends didn't think he should do, but I think it's very successful, very well done. Frame is boxed, powered by a 56 Chevy 265 Ford 40 over, got a Wyand 471 blower on it because Al didn't want to cut a hole in it. Puts out 345 horsepower, got a Joe Hunt Magneto oil pan, Corvette valve covers, all backed by a Muncie M22W. It's got a 57 Olds rear end with 410 gears. And Al made sure, when we photographed this car, Al made sure to point out about the glass fuses with the cloth wiring and the spiral shocks, which he said are almost impossible to find.
The picture that was submitted would look very period perfect of a 1960s gasser.
Yep.
Yes, and as Zizi said, the winning photographer from both events was the same guy, Richard Novak from R. Novak Photography. He takes some nice pictures.
Yep.
So people, you got all summer to take pictures of your cars, and we're going to kick Car Wars up again next winter for events. So start taking pictures of your cars and have some nice photos taken. The stories were great. I thought it was really neat that Ray Eric from KQ showed up, ZZ. He entered 2 cars, and I mean, great stories on both of them.
Yeah, he's a heck of a nice guy. So it's fun to listen to him talk about his cars and his passion for it.
Exactly.
You can see the excitement he has for these things.
The stories are so great. That's what's fun about it, is the stories. We had a guy that had a 1967 Chevelle that was his dad's. His dad died. He's got the car. He had pictures of him when he was 3 years old at Minnesota Dragways, standing next to the car with his mom and dad.
Very
and now
cool.
he's owning the car and drives it. So it was just such a fun event. And I think TGI Fridays, they were very happy with the turnout also. And it was a good location.
Good. I like it.
Yes.
Well, I think that's about it for our episode of Garage. My friend Billy Bassonnet wanted me to pass along. He says, buckle up and stay safe.
That's his phrase. And stay healthy.
Absolutely.
And leave toilet paper at the store for others.